So joining us is both players, having been on the draw all tournament, has served them just fine. Trent Avera, Austin Bursavich, 7 and 8 seeds, just the last two players to make it into the top 8. Avera on the play starts with the turn 1 lightning bolt here. Both players trying to get Bursavich's life total low. Avera trying to get it to 0. Bursavich hoping it stays 5.
Right. Yeah, the 7-8 seed finals is not what you usually expect to see.
Sure. Inquisition of Kozilek from Bursavich.
Ooh.
See, another lightning bolt, 2 more lands. Eidolon of the Great Revel.
This is a 6-card hand. And now it's just a lightning bolt and a couple lands.
Yeah, it goes and takes Eidolon of the Great Revel, so nowhere near enough burn right now in Avera's hand as we go back to his turn.
And Eidolon's mighty powerful, but won't get the opportunity to cast it here.
Yeah, plays a land and says go. Now, he drew a Lava Spike for the turn, but interestingly, Ryan is not going to cast it, though he could have played it off advantage.
Likely seeing how much damage Bursavich will do to himself if he doesn't force him to, potentially could go too low with something like Street Wraith. He does end up being a little more vulnerable to another Inquisition.
Yes, he's vulnerable to the Inquisition. The danger would be with the card Death Shadow, right? If Avera empties his hand, putting Bursavich to 11, then Bursavich can do something like, fetch, shock, go to 8, play a 5/5 Death Shadow, and that's just really the sweet spot for his deck.
Right.
So no plays yet for Avera, and it looks like it's going to be a turn to Tarmogoyf from Bursavich.
And with enchantment, creature, instant, sorcery,
nice.
land.
5/6 already. Eidolon of the Great Revel doing no favors for Avera.
That thing gets big quick.
So see what he wants to do with Burn. Looks like he gets Sacred Foundry here on end step. Now, in Avera's build of Burn here, he is just Boros in the main deck. No green spells. You see him not getting something like Stomping Ground there. He does have some of Tarka's commands in the sideboard, but game 1, it is just red and white cards. Draws another Eidolon. Casts it, plays Inspiring Vantage, says go.
That Eidolon's not bad, but with the Tarmogoyf already on the battlefield, it's a bit worse than it would have been on turn 2.
Yeah, end step, Trent did Lightning Bolt Bursavich. Interestingly, though, still not. He could have played Lava Spike into Eidolon, and he's still keeping the Lava Spike in his hand. Meaning now when he casts it, he's going to take damage off Eidolon. It's also could be Inquisitioned. I guess the upside is still there's this life management game going on with respect to the card Death Shadow.
Well, Bursavich is at 13, so casting Death Shadow puts him to 11, so it will be a 2/2 if he decides to cast one.
Right. What it feels like, you see Austin Bursavich hitting for 5, is that Trent is trying to set up a flurry of damage here, if you would, where he keeps Austin around 10, and then on one turn is like, attack, Lava Spike, 0. But Bursavich, I mean, he's got a Tarmogoyf. He may not hurt himself anymore. Just plays a fetch land, says go. Avera, Monastery Swiftspear goes to 12. Now he'll be rewarded for hanging on to that Lava Spike. He does have a prowess trigger from it. So Spike, Avera to 10, Bursavich to 10. Swing for 4. Bursavich has, looks like a removal spell, Abrupt Decay. He will, well, go to 6 both ways.
And the Eidolon certainly represents more damage down the line.
But you see some comments here, look, Bursavich just goes to 5 on end step anyway. I suppose 5 and 6 both are double spell territory when it comes to this matchup. It's not that different.
There's Tarmogoyf has a 2-turn clock right now. Depending if Bursavich can deal with the Swiftspear or not.
Yeah, Avera's out of cards, so if Bursavich just has something like Fatal Push and an attack, yeah, that's pretty good.
Right. No Path to Exiles in the main deck for Avera. So if he can deal with the Swiftspear, he should be clear to win the game.
Yeah, Liliana of the Veil actually in Bursavich's hand. So he'll start out by swinging for 5. Yeah. I think just thinking about some different sequencing, the attack's going to come. We'll start here with Liliana of the Veil. -2 takes care of the Swiftspear. Tarmogoyf takes half of Trent's life total. Trent down to 5. One more turn should do it.
Tie game.
I don't think there's a 5-point burn spell in this deck. Says go. Drew Lava Spike. That's not going to do it. Bursavich plus. Yeah, I'll take the last card, and that's going to be the game for Bursavich. So, Death Shadow. This is the first game 1 that Bursavich has had in the entire top 8.
He did win his other matches, though.
Yeah. These are going to make this one easier, maybe. We'll look at the sideboards. So, on Bursavich's side, you mentioned those 2 copies of Collective Brutality. The pain-free discard and life gain, always so strong for Death Shadow. Anything else you might want here?
The extra Fatal Push is mighty nice. Liliana the Veil is fine. It's a little bit slow, but it does have some play here. Sometimes you see players bring in Fulminator Mage against burn decks just because they're a little heavy on non-basic lands. You can cut them off of their white splash with that one. Mostly we're looking at Collective Brutality here, though. For Avera, we have 4 Path to Exile, 4 Destructive Revelry, 3 Deflecting Palm, 3 Atarka's Command, 1 Searing Blaze. So Trent has a few more cards in his sideboard that matter.
Right, and there's actually, it's interesting to see how he decides to play his matchup. So Path to Exile is very good against Tarmogoyfs and Death Shadows. Deflecting Palm's actually good against them as well. If the problem is Austin might know about it or make him discard it. Something like that.
Yeah, so obviously deck lists are face up. Bursavich is going to have a lot of opportunities to look at Trent's hand. Deflecting Palm is pretty beatable for this deck, in particular if he's going heavy on Liliana of the Veil. It's going to be very difficult to leverage that.
Yeah. All right, so the players are going to get ready here for a second game. Now, as we go close the door here on Dallas. In a month, we have our next stop on the SCG Tour. It is the Legacy Open. It's the Season 1 Legacy Open. It's going to be in the Northeast in Worcester, Massachusetts. So that one's coming up in just a month here at the SCG Worcester Open.
A little Legacy action.
Yeah. Legacy in a really neat place. The last time we had a Legacy event here on the tour was the team event we covered in Baltimore. The winning deck list in the hands of Sam Pardee, similar to Reed Duke's build. It's the Sultai kind of all mana creatures and True Name Nemesis deck. It's neat because it's actually a newer strategy that we're seeing in Legacy, and you don't get all that often.
Leovold looked really messed up in that tournament. That card has a lot of rules text.
So for a format that doesn't change much, it'll be really interesting to see what effect that has on high-level Legacy play. You know, I still expect to see plenty of lands, plenty of miracles, death and taxes, all that stuff. Now, they're not going anywhere.
Death and Taxes is particular a deck that has had a number of cards reprinted and newly printed for the deck. A little easier access deck for the format than many of the legal decks.
Life keeps getting harder for decks like Storm and Legacy. It's just your cards, they just keep staying the same, and everyone else's cards get better. You know? Storm is almost the same 75 as it was 4 years ago.
There are some things that change with the configuration. Something that's taken off, certainly when Miracles was very well represented. I don't know what the adaptations have been for Leovold decks, but in the face of a lot of Miracles, you see the heavy Tendrils of Agony sideboard package. They go for the mini Tendrils. So the cards are very powerful. They're powerful enough where they don't really need too many new tools.
I mean, that's kind of like the life of combo decks in Legacy, right? You know, I used to play a lot of High Tide. It was pretty clear about 4 years ago that my deck list was never going to change.
Or be good again.
Well, I mean, but it's the same thing, right? I mean, yeah, it's what are they going to do? They're going to print a better blue cantrip or blue counter spell than the ones I already have access to? Like, no.
Right.
You even see, you know, you don't see much Legacy Dredge anymore, for example.
Yeah.
It's that used to be a very respectable deck.
I've lost to Dredge more than a few times.
Yeah. You know, right now for the poor combo player in Legacy, the choices are just few. You know, Storm, Reanimator, Sneak and Show. And after that, I don't know. Maybe then we're looking at Allurin or these creature decks, and
Allurin's really been seeing a lot more play as of late.
Yeah, it's because it involves creatures, and creatures are good now. I don't say I don't understand it. I just don't like it.
Sure.
I felt a legacy deck list. We take the creatures column and we scribble it out and we write more spells. That's how it's supposed to be.
Usually catch me with approximately 12 creatures. 4 Delver of Secrets and some other stuff.
Avera back on the play here for game 2. He was on a 6-card hand last time. Inquisition of Kozilek hurting there as well. Goblin Guide this time for Avera. So he does have a creature showing Traverse the Ulfin Vault on top of the deck for Bursavich. That card's actually a liability, I would think, in this matchup. It requires Austin's first turn. You know, like it's mana that he doesn't really have extra of. At the same time, when Eidolon happens, that could even deal him damage.
Yes. Yeah, the first turn can only find a basic. If Eidolon of the Great Revel enters the fray, suddenly it shocks him when he casts it.
Looks like Path to Exile has come in out of the sideboard for Avera, one of them in his hand, along with a Monastery Swiftspear.
If you're packing 4 Path to Exiles in your sideboard and they're not coming in here, I'm not really sure what the plan is for them. Some decisions for Bursavich here, and frequently the first turn of the game can be rather difficult if he has a Mishra's Bauble and a fetch land in his hand. Argument of where you want to look with that bauble. Some more tension with possibly multiple 1-mana spells that he could be casting.
It does look like he has one of his collective brutalities. You see Bauble, going to check the top card of Avera's deck. So he has a good turn 2 play. We'll see what he wants to do.
Yeah, Bursavich made a notion to put something on top of Avera's deck.
Yeah, Bursavich this tournament has missed a couple of Bauble triggers, and you see it on his face immediately when it happens. And a lot of times players will put a die on their own deck to remember to draw a card. This one you can't. Just, he wants to put it on Avera's deck, say, okay, you're going to remind me to draw a card. Now it's harder, right? So I actually do the die on top of deck thing a lot. Whenever I have an end-step trigger, I'm basically always doing it. I don't have a good strategy for how to remember something on my opponent's upkeep. You know what
my strategy is?
Don't miss it.
I don't put the die on top of my deck for my stuff, and I just remember the
yeah,
same way I remember my own triggers.
I'm too good. I'm too good.
I'm
for
not
that.
saying
I'm
good.
too good
no,
for that Mickey Mouse
I
stuff.
am saying that if you handicap yourself by putting a die on your deck, it makes it harder to just remember other things naturally.
That's not handicap.
Exercise your brain. Use it or lose it.
That's like saying I don't put on a seatbelt because I don't crash.
This is the worst analogy I've heard in my entire life.
If I put on a seatbelt, I'll just let myself drive worse. So I just don't wear one.
Okay, first of all, getting in a car accident is always the other person's fault.
Inquisition of Kozilek from Austin Bursavich. We're going to look at Trent's hand. We have Monastery Swiftspear, Path to Exile, Lava Spike, Boros Charm, then another red. It looks like another a Lightning Helix. So pretty good mix of cards here. No more lands, though. And here's what I like. Austin knows whether or not Trent's drawing a land next turn.
Right.
No, that's actually really relevant, right? Like, because this hand, with a land next turn, it's Swiftspear and a Lava Spike. That's some really scary stuff. Without a land, this hand is kind of slow.
One way or the other, the Swiftspear is the most threatening card in the hand. The other consideration is likely the Path to Exile if Bursavich doesn't have a way to win with that happening. And Bursavich remembered his Bauble trigger.
All right. Trent drew the land. Here's Goblin Guide for 2 more. Shows Fulminator Mage on top of the deck for Bursavich. I'm actually a little interested to see that one in. There's not utility lands. I suppose there might just be some bad cards that Bursavich is looking to replace.
Well, Street Wraith is not so great here.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if Avera gets Fulminator Maged here.
Okay, it's really good, isn't it?
Got a good mix of white spells in that hand. Bursavich needs to solve this Goblin Guide problem, though.
Bursavich down to 11. Yeah, he's taking damage a little too quickly right now. We do see Collective Brutality, and this could be just... So there's no Atarka's Command or Skullcrack effect in Avera's hand. Bursavich knows it. So he can do a fully escalated Collective Brutality here. Kill Goblin Guide, gain 2, take a card. This is huge.
Yes. Taking some time to consider which cards to discard. It looks like he's identified the Fulminator Mage as one that he's not big on here.
Brutality. -2 to the Goblin Guide. Fully escalated. Pitches Tarfire and Fulminator Mage. So he'll get a card out of Trent's hand. Trent will lose 2 life, and Goblin Guide will die. This is a game-changing play right here. So Bursavich burn goes down to 7 in response, then goes up to 9, then gets to take a card. This card is messed up.
It has 3 modes that are basically always good against Burn.
How does Burn beat this card? Oh.
They have to be further ahead when it comes down.
No, you're not going to. They can't. Trent's hand was a Goblin Guide, Swift Spear, Lava Spike, and a stack of Burn. That's what I want.
You can't beat this card with fancy play.
Yeah.
You have to get more creatures on the battlefield.
So now he's left with Spike Path. All right. Well, he still has a shot. Draws another land. Not going to want any of those. Says go. Looks like Lightning Helix and Path to Exile. Wow. All right. So what looked like a tough spot for Bursavich now is a lot stronger. Coligan's Command as well in hand can continue to go to work, and that might punish Trent for playing out the 3rd land.
Right. Bursavich needs to present a threat here, though, and Avera does have that Path to Exile yet.
So he could use Coligan's Command to get back Fulminator Mage. That's a little fancy.
He's going to need to produce a 3rd mana source before that can happen.
Thought Seize from Bursavich. That is a real show of strength. He's going to get Lightning Helix in response. So Bursavich going to go down to 4.
Is it a show of strength or a play of desperation?
Takes the Path to Exile. So no more cards in Trent's hand. Bursavich going to traverse. He's got Artifact, Tribal, yeah, okay, you got it. We'll see what he gets. No, I mean, if he's getting Death's Shadow, does he have the basic Swamp in hand? Yeah, he's down to 4. That's scary. Death's Shadow's a 9/9. That's great. Boros Charm kills him. That's scary. It's a mixed bag here. I mean, Death's Shadow's a 3-turn clock, and at 4 life, you're right that I don't like a 3-turn clock. Burn can beat me, Cast Shadow, swing it again. I'm concerned.
You need Avera to brick on at least one of these turns.
Draws Death Shadow. Looks like he has another Traverse. If he has that basic Swamp, he can get a 2nd Death Shadow and shave a turn off that clock. Right now, remember, Shadow is a 9/9.
This is a position where if he has Teamer Battle Rage, that makes the attack on the following turn lethal.
Does get another Death Shadow. That will give him some insurance against the top deck Path to Exile. Makes sure he has that 2-turn clock sewn up. Avera thinning out the deck, though. If he's cracking a fetch land, I would think Searing Blaze might be gone. Not really a good card in this matchup anyway.
Yeah, it just doesn't kill anything.
All right. It's Inspiring Vantage is the card in hand, so that's good for Bursavich. Avera needs 2 burn spells off the top to get this.
Is you considering Boros Charm to be 2 burn spells?
Lightning Bolt. Okay, now he needs the top of the deck is going to decide it. Or does it? Oh, no, I don't know that it does. Here's a swing. Teamer Battle Rage from Bursavich.
You forgot.
And that, oh, wow, I did.
You forgot that Berserk is a modern legal card.
And that's going to be the game and the match for Austin Bursavich. Getting that 2nd Death Shadow, that was for show. He already had it locked up. So congratulations to Austin Bursavich, and Death Shadow, the last player to get into the top 8 on Breakers, takes it down, and he is your Dallas Open champion.
Yeah, snuck in on Breakers, won his quarter and semifinal matches in 3-game sets, losing the first game in both.